Hello, I'm Father Joe Gambala, pastor of St. Malachy Catholic Church in Sterling Heights, Archdiocese of Detroit. Welcome to Saint of the Day. There's an old saying, I don't know how true it is, but it goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I think that applies to today's saint. Today's saint is John Damascene. That means John of Damascus. And he was born in the late 600s, and he was very well educated. He began his career as a revenue officer, actually, and while he was a Christian, he was working for the Muslim Caliph at the time, for the Muslims were controlling that area. He decided after a number of years that he was called to be a monk and joined a monastery, for Christians were allowed, provided they paid a tax, were allowed to practice their faith. He was very intelligent. He did a lot of study. Now, across the border in Byzantium, or the Eastern Roman Empire, during that time there was a great controversy that tore the empire apart, and it was about icons. Icons are certain paintings that are known as windows to the soul or windows to heaven. There's no depth painting to it. You're supposed to gaze at the picture and imagine it drawing you into a heavenly place. Well, the emperor of that time in Constantinople decided that this was just idol worship and wanted to destroy them, and it tore the empire into pieces, people arguing and fighting and riots and battles all over these icons. Well, John took the rather correct position that they're not idol worship. They are ways in which we are drawn toward Jesus. We're drawn to the heavenly kingdom, that these images aren't worshipped in and of themselves. Only God behind them is worshipped. And he felt very strong that the emperor was wrong and wrote many, many works that were brought into the empire and used to argue against the emperor. Well, of course, this infuriated the emperor, and he wanted to punish. In fact, he wanted to kill John, but couldn't get his hands on him because John wasn't living in the emperor. He was protected by a Muslim Caliph over in Syria. The Muslim Caliph probably didn't care about the theology behind what John was defending, but he was probably delighted that John was giving his enemy across the border a lot of trouble. Thus, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But John Damascene, he was writing because he truly believed, and quite correctly, that these pictures are not worshipped. They are not idols. They're ways in which we see God in a different, more deeper spiritual way, that we're drawn closer to the Lord.